Welcome to Cheese in Depth. I'm Michael Landis, and today we're talking with Kari and Kate with the Wisconsin Aging and Grating and Cheese. This will be really fun for all of us. And today we're sponsored by the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. With over 1,200 licensed cheesemakers in the only state that requires a license to make cheese, they are also the only place outside of Europe with a master cheesemakers program. So today I'm talking with Kari and Kate with Wisconsin Aging and Grating Cheese. And Kate, by the way, is a third generation licensed Wisconsin grater. I'm going to turn it over to you two.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, hopefully this will be fun for everybody to learn about us and our company. I'll go first and introduce myself. I am Kate Neumeier Clarke. I am, like Michael said, a third generation licensed cheese grater from the state of Wisconsin. And as some people do know or don't know, Wisconsin is the only state that licenses its cheese makers and its cheese graters. So I come from a long line of cheese love. So just have fun as we go through this. I talk a lot, so it's going to be fun. But I started in the cheese industry back in 2001 when my father Ken started our company, Wisconsin Aging and Grating Cheese. My father has been in the industry for probably 45 plus years, and we'll go into the company in a little bit. But to fill you in on myself, the company started in 2000. I joined our company in 2001. So I've been in the industry now for about 19 years, a little bit over. However, that allowed me to do all different avenues within the company. So when I started just filing. I was an administrative assistant to Ken. I helped with the procurement and sales a little bit. I then got my cheese grater's license. And then I was able to help with office management and also kind of build upon operations internally. And then I was given the opportunity a few years ago to take over the president's position. So I'm now the president and COO of our company. So stepping back a little bit before I joined WAG, so I went to college at UW-Eau Claire in Wisconsin, and I originally started with a business administration degree. However, I decided to take a sidestep into graphic design. So I actually have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in graphic design, which I'm able to still utilize today. But then as I was finishing college, my dad had just started our company and gave me the opportunity to join it. And I loved it. I mean, it's cheese. It's a legacy from my family, and I never looked back. So the cheese industry is very dear to my heart, and just what people know about the Neumeyers and what we do and what we say we do type of thing. And then it's really about the relationships that we've gathered over the years. That means a lot. So beyond being a cheese grater, a licensed cheese grater, I also have I am a PCQI for WAG and then also for the converting company, which is a preventative control quality individual. So I help support food safety, which is extremely important for everybody to keep the food healthy and keep everyone safe. So by no means do I head up that department. We have some amazing individuals in our quality department, but I do help support food safety on that side as well. And then I have judged at quite a few different contests over the years, Wisconsin State Fair, Wisconsin Dairy Products Association, just a couple of those. So I've had that honor of being a judge for cheese. And then my father, Ken, and sometimes when I say Ken, it's also my dad, so I might intertwine that a little bit. But Ken and I had the opportunity to judge over in Nantwich, England at the International Cheese Awards. So that was a humongous honor, and not only for myself, but for my dad and I to share that experience together. So judging is also from a part of my background. And then I'm sure I'll kind of go into a little bit of other stuff that I do on a day-to-day basis. And the last thing I'll cover for now is that in 2018, then my father, Ken, and I started Integrity Cheese Packaging of Wisconsin. So not only do we have WAG, which we call ourselves Wisconsin Aging and Grating, kind of a mouthful. So we call ourselves WAG. WAG had the need for converting. So my father and I also started a cheese company that converts product. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll turn it over to Kari.
All right. Well, my name is Kari Hofkens, and I have been in the cheese industry since I joined WAG in, I think it's 2006. So about 14 years I've been with WAG. I also actually started out part-time. I was in college, and I was actually going to college for special education. And I started working out part-time at WAG for, helping with admin work, and it ended up growing into a full-time position, which I chose that route just because getting that experience in the cheese industry, meeting the people in it, it's really interesting, happy industry, and it feels good to be a part of it. So I ended up taking on a full-time position, and 14 years later, I'm now the sales manager. I also do the procuring and sourcing of product for customers, as well as a lot of operations and account managing, a little bit of everything. So it's a busy position, but I'm happy doing it, and it's always interesting. So I mean, I don't have as much to say as Kate just had to say, but that's kind of me and my experience with WAG, and how I came into the industry.
And I wanted to make sure everybody knows kind of a fun fact about Kari and I. So Kari and I have actually known each other since 5th grade. When my father, we moved, he was working in Little Cross area for Safeway stores. He had started that up. And then our family had the opportunity to move over to northeastern Wisconsin for a different cheese position. He was working, I believe, in cold pack operations. So Kari and I met back then. So not only is it a family business, but it's also friends and family together, which is great. So that's kind of a fun thing about us. So we get to work together, travel to shows, so it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really, it makes even that much more special and fun when you get to do it with people that you're really close with and enjoy being around, and it's great.
Cool. Well, we can go into the background of WAG then, and start kind of giving a breakdown of where we, why and where we came from, and then really where we're at today. So again, my father, Ken Neumeyer, started WAG back in 2000. It is a family business. My mom worked with the company too. She just retired last year. She was in our accounting department. My sister, Amanda, is also a licensed cheese grater, and my husband, Steve, is on our team as another licensed Wisconsin cheese grater. So definitely is a family affair. So the pictures that are up there, one is my father, Ken. That is a picture of him grating some cheese at the International Cheese Awards in Nantwich, England. And then in the middle there is my sister Amanda and I. We were able to go and join my father at the Grand Champion round with the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association, an amazing contest they put together. And then the one in black and white there is my grandpa Eugene. So he's the one who started it all for the legacy that the Neumeyers now have in cheese. The picture of him there actually is with Dave Lindeman, who my grandfather worked for Northern Wisconsin Produce during that picture, but he was involved with the cheese market. So back when it was up in Green Bay, he helped trade on the exchange, as well as participate in grading. He also, before he passed away, was a grader for the USDA. So little did I know cheese was in my blood and background and palate. But so my father started WAG with the projection that cheddar cheese was more than just a commodity cheese. It is a cheese that would become a specialty cheese. And well done, Dad. He nailed it on the head. Aged cheddar is definitely something that is sought after extremely across many different markets, whether in food service, retail, depending on if people want to do charcuterie boards, if they want to use it as an ingredient. I mean, some aged cheddar now is going for over $200 a pound. So you really nailed that. The other thing that Ken did when he started our company was to do it right from the beginning. It's that golden rule. You treat others like you want to be treated, and you do business with other people like you want people to do business with you. And if you keep doing that, it's going to be a recipe for success. So he took all of his experience that he had in his background, from supervising plants to processed cheese, formulating, procurement, aging, and that's how Ken started up WAG back then in 2000. So that's a little bit more about my immediate family. There's my sister Emily with her daughter Margaret, which is the namesake after my grandma Margaret, my father Ken's mom. So there's Margaret, Emily, and my dad at a cheese contest. Then in the middle there is my sister Amanda, Ken and myself. We did a national cheese educational session. It's one of our proudest things that we were asked to participate and teach a huge group of individuals that are food scientists, food background, really just about cheese and aging and what other characteristics that you really need for successful cheese. And then the last one there is Ken judging again. He is definitely topped all of us at WAG in how many cheese contests that he has participated in. But we're so proud of my dad, Ken, for what he has done and contributed to cheese quality in the industry. So we can go to the next slide, please. So with grating cheese, there's definitely an art and a science to it. The science is the easy part-ish. It's analyticals, the fat, the salt, the pH, moisture, what's going on in that cheese. But it's really just a benchmark of what's going on in that cheese. Just because everything is perfect, you have a 37 moisture for a cheese. You have the pHs are 510, 515. You have this perfect scenario. That cheese doesn't always age out the way it will or should. So the evaluating cheese is what really WAG is known for, and that's the programs that we run for people, is to watch the progress of that cheese as it's aged. So I know this is Meet the Cheesemakers, and WAG is not necessarily a cheese maker. We are cheese graders that heavily work with the cheesemakers. Grating cheese, it's one of those parts of the scenario or the whole food chain of cheese that is crucial to quality product. You start out with the phenomenal farmers making the quality milk, because it all starts with the farm and the cows. and that quality of milk that then is brought to the cheesemakers. The cheesemakers then put their heart and soul into making that cheese. You know, they're picking the cultures, the salts, pHs, but then what does the cheese do after it leaves the factory? Is it always going to be great? Obviously, the cheesemakers hope so, and most of the times it is. But if there's not proper communication back to the cheesemakers, that's where problems can occur. So what WAG does then is we work very closely with the cheesemakers, the cheese factories. So WAG is not just a cheese grating company. We are a company that manages set-asides. For people, we call them set-asides, because we buy cheese for our customers on their behalf from the cheese factories. We are very in tune with what cheese comes out of what cheese factory. All have a great purpose across the board for what they're able to provide to consumers. But our customers let us know that. They let us know they want a cheese that's bitter or acid, or has a little fruity acid balance between the two, and we go, oh, that's this factory, or oh, we definitely want to stay away from that factory. So we source and we work with that cheese factory for that specific customer. But when it's our cheese graters and the cheese makers talking together, it's us saying, okay, cheese makers, we love your cheese. We want to put it in this package. Let's work together to make sure it stays amazing. So the cheese will come into us, our graters grate it right away to validate that cheese is what the cheesemaker wanted to make and intended to make. But it doesn't always turn out exactly, or maybe it does. It's amazing at 30 days, but WAG continually watches and grades that cheese as it ages, which is the crucial part to quality cheese. We give that feedback to the cheesemakers then and say, hey, cheese made on May 8th, 2018. Wow, amazing. Everything lined up perfect. Check who was working that day. Check the supply of the cultures, the milk supply. Let's target for that gold standard. Or because not all cheese turns out the way that we hope, we're able to let the cheesemakers know right away so they can make changes if need be. We can say, hey, the cheese is coming in great, the body is looking awesome on the blocks, but it's starting to go a little acid within that 30 to 60 days. And I'm solely talking about cheddars right now. That's primarily what we do is cheddar. So we look at the cheddar and we know what makes grade A, undergrades, grade B. We know our specs for the cheese that we are responsible for our customers. And we make sure that that cheesemaker knows. We buy from numerous cheese factories, and all of them make such unique cheeses. And that's the part that's cool about cheese in general. You know, you change a little thing and it creates a whole nother cheese. So our, I guess, responsibility in the industry is to help cheesemakers know what they're making as that cheese ages maybe 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, because they don't get to see it. You know, they make this amazing cheese, it goes out the door, and they don't really know. They don't know if calcium lactate's starting to bloom on the cheese. They don't know if bitter's coming on stronger. So yeah, so that's a huge part of the value that WAG adds to the industry and our customers, so that when they put that cheese in the package and market it, it's the same all the time. You know, consumers know what they like and they know what they don't like. So we got to make sure that that cheese is consistent at all times, so that you have that brand loyalty that people really want to make sure they keep. So this is more on WAG's wholesale side. WAG is started and is still primarily a bulk wholesale company. I know that's not as exciting to consumers to hear, or maybe know that that's part of the equation, but even though we've been in business now for over 20 years, sometimes people still don't know what WAG does. So we have set-aside programs, which there's a picture there of some 40-pound blocks. 7, 11, 14 is the dimensions of it. And then what it's sitting on is a 640-pound block of cheese. So a 640 is actually 16 40-pound blocks, just put together in one large formation. And what we do is we make sure that it's aged in temperature and humidity controlled rooms so that the cheese ages properly. And we work with some fantastic warehouses throughout the state of Wisconsin, WAGs, cheese graters. We actually have offices inside of WOW Logistics. In Little Shoe, Wisconsin, I would say WOW is probably one of the best warehouses out there, facilities that really does a fantastic job of food safety, the temperature, humidity, maintenance. It's really important for us. And then we do store cheese throughout Wisconsin, over on the west side of Wisconsin and central Wisconsin. But with our set-aside programs, that's where we buy the cheese from cheese factories. We bring it in, we love it, we age it, we watch it, and then once it's ready to go to market, we let our customers know, yep, this is made perfect medium cheddar for you. Let's bring it to the market and get it cut. Or, yep, this cheese is aging perfectly. Let's put it into your 1-year program and we'll keep aging it. Then that primarily is for private label. So what that means is that we have some cheese factories or cheese companies that have their own brand and would love a quality cheese to go in it. So that's where we create different unique profiles, whether it's going to scream out more acid or more bitter, or it has a beautiful blend between them. So each private label has a unique cheese that goes into it. And then we also do have just grating, where if people want some help with maybe like a cheese factory is making cheese and they're just going, what is going on? I don't know. We have Randy Swenson. He's our head grater at WAG, and I think there's a couple pictures of him throughout. He helps actually with the Master Cheesemakers program through the Center for Dairy Research, UW system. And we are allowed to help factories grow their quality. So they can hire us to help them with their cheese making procedures. So again, we don't make cheese, but we're pretty dangerous and probably can make a batch of cheese if we wanted. We're in tune with cheese make procedures, the amount of time cheese should be in the vat, the protein levels that are needed sometimes for aged cheddar versus a mild cheddar, the different cultures that go into play. There's a lot of different moving parts, but because we have a group of individuals that really have been doing this their whole life and love it, we're able to communicate with the cheese factories or use other industry resources. Like I just said, Center for Dairy Research, CDR, phenomenal group. But that's the part about the cheese industry, though. You could be somebody's competitor or vendor or supplier, and we help each other out. I mean, that's the part that's awesome. And that's what made me, and probably Kari can speak for that too, stay in the cheese industry. Because I think that goes back to family and tradition and hard work. The farmers, again, are the ones that started all out. And we don't have farms, we don't have food. So we got to make sure that we support our farms out there. And that hard work is something that just has gone into a lot of the traditions that Wisconsin has, meaning the family aspect of it is tremendous in the cheese industry. And that's where you'll see families that have been around for generations and generations. And they just carry it down to 3, 4, 5, 6 generations because it's awesome. So anyways, grading services are something that we offer. And then the private label. Then we can probably go to the next slide too, please. Which leads us to our retail brands. So WAG manages and ages, I would say, not to give too much info away, but we do age about over 40 million pounds of cheese. Too many, pieces of cheese that we are responsible for aging. Now, with those programs that we have programs set aside for people that, they say, Kate, Ken, Kari, I want to have a 5-year program. Can you manage this on our behalf? Can you procure it? What factory should I work with? You got it. Came to the right group. That's our niche. But aging cheese for 5 years and having that projection, you go, oh, I kind of overshot the moon there. I really only need 5 truckloads of cheese, and I had you put 10 truckloads of cheese. And so Ken and I in the WAG group went, okay, what do? We have this amazing cheese that we put our love and devotion into as it aged. And do we have our set aside customers just have to take that cheese? Or what can we do to help each other out? Again, going back to, taking care of each other. And we had the opportunity with a retailer in Wisconsin to walk through that door of retail, because we were able to utilize some of that inventory that our customers had set aside for themselves, and then market it to consumers in retail under 2 of our own labels. So we have Wisconsin Graders Reserve, and then we have 724 Wisconsin Select. 2 different brands, 2 different outlets. So Wisconsin Graders Reserve is the best of the best of our inventory. The cheeses are just the gold standard that we kind of go for. The acids, the bitters, that nutty flavor, everything is just, all stars are aligning, and it's awesome. However, there's so many pounds of cheese that will make that grade. And we grade every single piece of cheese, that period, and also what goes into each brand. So that comes with a price point and goes into more specialty, smaller shops that have the specialty delis. Then that the consumer's looking for that at there. But we also wanted to give consumers the ability to have that quality aged cheese at a consumer friendly price point. So that's where we launched the 724 Wisconsin Select brand. And with that brand, fun thing is the 724 is my dad's cheese graders number. So we've branded that, so Ken is forever with us. So 724 Wisconsin Select, we have a larger inventory of it, which allows us to then have access to larger retailers nationwide and to get cheese into people's mouths that we call taste like more. That was something my grandpa Eugene would say: if the cheese tastes like more, buy it, and buy more of it. So, and then that's something that Ken has continually always said to us too, if the cheese tastes like more, like you want to keep eating it and enjoying more of it, that's great cheese, buy it. So we have our 724 cheese, that's the taste like more. It's more of a traditional cheddar that is still very amazing. And it has that beautiful body that an aged cheddar typically you won't see, because cheese might not have been managed the same as what we do. So when we get to the cheese tasting portion, we'll all be able to go through that and experience what our aged cheddars are like versus what maybe you've tried in the past. Because you don't necessarily have to have an aged cheddar that makes your eyes water and your palate like, give me some more water, this is too much bitter. That's not something that our brands have. And then the other cheese I have out behind us is Harmony. So Harmony is actually part of our Wisconsin Graders Reserve brand, but we wanted to go over that today as a group too, just because that cheese is very special and dear to our hearts. WAG created the formula for that. meaning that we worked with the culture houses on exactly the formula, kind of like you're baking something, the formula that you use to make a cheese. And it was numerous years of love and trial to see that cheese come to where it is now. It is a white cheddar, but it blends the attributes and flavors of Gouda and also a Parmesan. So it has cheddar notes with that buttery Gouda and that sweet Parmy taste to it. So it's awesome. So that's probably 3 or 5 years took to have that formula basically locked in, because it would age for a year. We'd check it and then we'd be like, no, we want a little bit more butter on it. Then we would change the formula, age it again. So that cheese is around maybe 1 to 2 year old-ish, but it's not branded with an age because we really go for flavor profile. Cheese is just amazing in the fact that all cheese ages differently. Even if you put it in the same temperature, the same humidity, if it's made with different protein or, that culture was made at a different time of the year, it changes that cheese. So we really market it at that proper flavor profile. So yeah, the work hard, play hard. We have an amazing team at WAG that we say, if you're going to do something and be successful at it, you need to have passion and be enthusiastic about it. Everybody at WAG, our pride and passion is quality aged cheddar. And, we take our classic, nice Christmas holiday card picture. And then for years and years, we always do the pictures at the end, which is usually always our favorite anyways. So Kari goes, yep, we always do those. But it's work hard, play hard. Everyone they're so dedicated. I am so honored for the group that is on our WAG team. We couldn't do what we do without each other. And, being in cheese for now 20 years, I think it's a testament to everyone on our team, because I think Kari's been with our group since 2006. Randy, our head grader, has been with us since 2002. I mean, just phenomenal people. So that's kind of the background on WAG, is that definitely need somebody watching the cheese as it ages so that the quality is consistent when that cheese is marketed. And the WAG group, we do it and we have fun doing it. So if you don't have fun doing something, I mean, it's going to, I think, show in your end result. So hopefully all the companies and individuals that work with us feel that from our group, the love for it. So Kari, what would you like to add to all of this? Because I just keep talking, so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kari, if you want to add to our
great. You're doing great. Yeah, it definitely is a great company to work for. It's a great industry to be a part of. As I was listening to you talk, you really touched on all points of the company, what we do, what we offer our customers. And at this point, I don't have anything to add. But I will definitely pop in when I do.
Okay, good. I hope you do. So,
oh, I will.
Oh, good. But yeah, the part of what we do, and I think we'll talk about this as we grade the cheeses as well, but you can't just put aged cheese in a cooler and think it's going to be great, because I mean, that'd be great if it was, and but it's not. Cheese is a living organism with the bacteria, and sometimes these bacteria like to all have a great time together and play nice. And there's other times that these cultures start to battle against each other, and some might die off. And bad bacteria take over, or they play great, and the
Meld
cheese
together.
but having a group like us actively part of the quality of the cheese that goes out is just really good for companies' success, but then also the cheesemakers. I mean, it helps get quality cheese on the shelf. I would say 20 years ago, quality cheddar wasn't where it is now. Again, we have millions of pounds of cheese, but not all of that's going to make a good 10-year-old or a good 15-year-old. And that's where our graders are culling it as it ages. We grade it and grade it. Kari knows when we're offering product out to customers, we go through all of our very strict regimented notes of how the cheese is graded its whole life, and if it's going to meet the standards for the customers. We do a lot of private labels, meaning customers can come to us and our large retailers. We work with national companies and we work with small companies that maybe move 1,000 pounds a year or 100,000 pounds a year or 5 million pounds. So we really are able to meet the needs of numerous people across the U.S. But when the cheese goes into different brands, that's where we make sure that that cheese is aging properly for it. You know, somebody might put a certain amount of cheese aside and we go, ooh, yeah, this not making it. Let's put that to market. That's going to be your mild cheese, or this is going to be your sharp cheese. Still really good, but that's where the art form comes in, though. That's where the art form that our graders do and do so well. Good job, Randy, Steve, Sammy. That they can project that. They can project going, I see what that cheese is like right now, and it's not going to go and get better when it's a 1 year or a 3 year. It's kind of peaking out right now. Again, everything might be going really good for a year or 3 years. And we found that then all of a sudden, 3 years, that's the max. That cheese needs to be eaten and enjoyed. It's not going to get better.
It tastes like more now.
Yeah, yeah. It tastes like more now.
Like later.
Yeah, but this cheese that's great at 1 year old would be not pleasant at all when it's 10 years old. So, because like I was saying, 20 years ago, cheese isn't as good as it is today, even though we have, I think our oldest is 16-year-old cheese. But that's because we continually grade it. And, we don't have this huge plethora of 16-year-old cheese because we continually evaluate it and go, this really met a good 12-year-old, but it's not going to get any better. The flavors are intensifying, or the wrong flavors are intensifying. So that's the importance of grading cheese and what we strive to do all the time for private label customers or for our own brands that we have.
Yeah, and I think that our customers really see the benefit in what we do in terms of providing them cheddar, or even, we do some other types of cheeses as well, but, mainly cheddar, but our customers see that value with the services we provide, giving them that consistent product that they know their customers are going to be getting that same cheese, and they're going to, how it is when you have a brand, you want your customers not to be surprised when they open that package. Surprises sometimes are not good when you're expecting something, you open it and it's like, this is not what I had last time, or this is not how I remember this being last time. And so that's something we definitely help our customers out with, is making sure that they have that consistent product and their customers come back for more. And with that, there is a price to that as well. But an additional benefit from the customers is the financial aspect of it too. We can take their cheeses manage the programs, hold all the monies and everything into it. And that frees up a lot more money on their end to do other things within their company, you know, employees and infrastructure, all that stuff they can put more money into. So in terms of the benefits we have, there's the consistency of the product we can provide our customers, as well as the financial aspect of it. It's just, I think there's definite benefits to everything we can offer our customers.
Perfect. Yeah, Kari, I was just gonna, so I'm glad that you brought that up. So not only the quality and the grading, but yeah, we actually hold all the money. So we work with the cheese factories to make the cheese, help them if there's anything that comes up, or continue like, that's amazing, keep her going, keep her moving. But then we actually buy it. We hold the monies into it. And markets go crazy high, crazy low, but WAG holds the monies into all of that cheese until that cheese is picked up and hauled out to the consumer, to the buyer, to the converting company. That's a lot of money gets tied up in cheese. Just
Yeah,
like
we all know markets can go crazy, right?
yeah, we're living in unprecedented time for numerous reasons right now. So employees giving back to employees, getting new vats, getting new building maybe, or so there's like sometimes the want because so they can use it other uses, or maybe the need. You know, somebody really doesn't have that cash flow to do that, and we're blessed to be able to provide that as an additional service, the financing aspect of it. So yeah, we age, grade, finance, and then take care of the warehousing on customers' behalf. So yep, there's a nice little snapshot of both of our retail brands. The 724 Wisconsin Select, 3-year-old, a 7-year-old, and 11-year-old, all yellow cheddar. And that was from one of the shows that Kari and I participated in. And then we have the Wisconsin Graders Reserve, which is the 5-year-old, the 7-year-old, 10-year-old, and Harmony. And we have discussed adding possibly white, maybe a 15-year-old to our 724 Wisconsin Select brand. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, those are our two retail brands that we have available to get out to the consumers into different retail avenues, whether they're large retailers nationwide or small companies that are local. Our biggest thing is we wanted to be able to get people quality aged cheese at affordable price. I kind of mentioned before that sometimes this cheese goes for, you know, like $200 a pound stuff, which is great, but not everybody's able to afford that, you know, or you get like one tiny little ounce of it, you know, type of thing, where we'll go through and we'll try these different cheeses, and then we'll offer the group people, if they wanted to contact us to possibly buy a sample box that has all of those in it. But yeah, instead of a piece of cheese being $50, you know, for that piece, you know, you might be able to buy it for $10. So it's really exciting to be where we're at right now as a company, especially in 2020. I mean, it's interesting things that are going on. So I think we'll probably transition into sampling the cheeses together then. If Michael, you have any questions or anything, or if anything has popped up?
Not a single question at this point. So it's just been going along. You guys are doing great. And yes, so we have the next slide is the 3-year-old cheddar. So if you guys want to start with that, and I'll come in with some helpful pairing advice.
There you go. Perfect. So our 3-year-old, I think Kari and I both have some of this cheese cut up. So that's this maroon brand. And
oh yeah, you can get a lot closer to the camera than I can.
Yeah, that's true. So 724 Wisconsin Select. And that's the youngest of the cheeses that we have in our brand as of right now, just specializing in the aged cheddar category of it. And you'll see through all the different cheeses that we have set up to show you guys today that our cheese, our aged cheddars, do not cut or have that mouth feel like aged cheddars that people might have been exposed to in the past. So the aged cheddar 3-year that I have here, I don't really have it paired with anything, but that's because this cheese, the flavors aren't as complex yet, even though it's 3-year. Definitely more complex than a mild cheddar, but you can really eat it by itself, and your palate gets cleaned up pretty nicely. And that's the part.
So it's a really, I was just going to say, it's a really nice traditional cheddar that it's starting to get that really nice, sharp aged cheddar flavor to it. But it still is really creamy and has a really nice mouthfeel to it. It's a good beginner cheese for somebody who is just starting to delve into the aged.
Where you can see how nicely that cut at 3 years old. So, and it'll be exciting as we get to the 11-year-old to kind of see how that cheese cuts as well. But yeah, it just has a nice, smooth flavor to it, even though it has that depth. You can taste that depth of flavor that's starting, that has the acid, a little bit of bitter in the background, but it cleans up. That's the biggest thing with really any cheese, is how does it clean up, and do you want to eat more of it? Our goal and our job is to have people enjoy as much cheese as they possibly can, you know, with maintaining being conservative about consumption, but it tastes like more, and you want to pick it up and eat more. That's the biggest thing that our cheese, when we age it, does. So the 3-year-old is, we have some art attributes on our 3-year-old cheese that listed as traditionally sharp, nutty, and creamy, and that's exactly what you get when you have that cheese.
Absolutely.
So next up would be our 7-year.
Well, let me talk about, you know, so let's talk about some pairings.
Yeah.
Kari, what do you have up there for that you're pairing with it today?
Well, the 3-year, what we have is, we kind of included the 3-year. It's an excellent cheese by itself, but we also incorporated it into some recipes. So what I used it with today was, over here I have, this is a Cauliflower Buffalo Dip, and this is made with our 3-year cheddar. There's no chicken in it. You know, a lot of times you see those buffalo chicken dips. There's Kate's lovely little, nice job, Kate.
Thank you.
But you definitely don't miss the chicken,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't miss the chicken in it, and it's just the sharpness of the cheddar just adds so much to it. So inside there's the 3-year, and then cauliflower, cream cheese, ranch dressing, and then buffalo sauce.
Yeah, I think we have a recipe for that at the end there as well.
Absolutely. Yep. The recipes that we show with these, everything will be available, and it's definitely a crowd pleaser. And I know that with everything going on this year, most people will probably be spending a lot of football Sundays at home. So this would be a great recipe to whip up to, you know, enjoy those Sunday football games together, and together with your family.
Well,
So it's
sure. The cauliflower, I mean, it's awesome because the cauliflower buffalo, not only is it a little bit better for you, I guess, but it's a great way to use aged cheddar more than just a table cheese.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what we wanted to let people know too, is that you can incorporate aged cheddar into recipes. And the nice thing is that the flavor goes a lot farther. So you might need a pound of medium cheddar for your lasagna or your, you know, some type of potato casserole or something. But you need
Yep.
a pound of it because to get that flavor. But it also melts really well, so that's where you'd also want to use that type of aged cheddar. Where 3-year-old, it does not melt down as well as a medium. It's the nature of how the cheese and the proteins break down as it ages, but that flavor is there. So that's what's really delicious of putting it with something that has that spice to it of the buffalo that we all love, and then to also incorporate it with cauliflower versus chicken. So yeah, we do fun things.
I
like
also
that.
have, I don't know, this is something that I found this blue, oh, sorry, Kate. What were you saying?
Oh, I was saying we have dip offs sometimes, meaning that
Oh.
everybody takes one of our cheeses and comes up with a dip. Then we all bring them to the office, and then we see who wins for the best dip. So that one won one of the years, the California. Was that you, Kari, who did that?
It was, yeah, it was, yep.
There you go. Yeah, she's
It was a winner. It was a winner.
So what beer did you pair with it? Kari?
This is a Blue Moon. I don't know if these are new or not. I mean, it's the first time I've really seen them, but Light Sky, a citrus wheat. So it's the Blue Moon. It's made with, I think, tangerine peels. So I don't know. I think that it goes good with that, and kind of they complement each other in a interesting way. So cheers.
There you go.
So I built a little mini cheese board, and because of the age of this particular cheddar, it really stands out as a great cheese that you can put with charcuterie. So I chose the 3 little pigs, they're chorizo with this, and I just really simple. And I think that, you know, as you look at a lot of the recipes and when you're working with this, is that does so well on its own, so you don't really have to slather this up as much. But I also use a Petits toast to give me a little bit of a cracker feel. And then I thought that the ground mustard would be really a nice little tangy topping to go with it. So that's my little cheese board that I built with that. And I paired this up with the Lagunitas. This is the Daytime IPA. And this is a very light beer. It's a session. It's only 4% ABV. So it's very, very light in that respect. So it's kind of like a little bit of a hoppy but light pale ale. So it doesn't really take you down that big path. And so you need something to kind of clean up with all the butter. And so that's what I did with mine.
Nice.
Awesome. I bet that's excellent with that mustard.
Yeah, that it balances. Yeah, and a lot of times people just think of the aged cheddars as a table cheese, but it does. It pairs really well and brings out different flavors of different products that you have with the mustards or with the meat. So, but yeah, if you eat the cheese separately by itself, I mean, the biggest thing that I identify right now with it is just the body is so creamy. It has this dairy note to it still that you get that nutty cheddar flavor that we're all looking for in a quality aged cheddar, but the acid brings on, you know, a little bit there. There's not much bitter on it, so it's a very approachable cheese, and then it cleans up. And that's the hardest part of creating a quality cheese is, does that cheese clean up? You don't want that residual aftertaste that you taste it like, you know, the next day still type of thing. You know, you want to be able to go, that was really good. Let me eat some more of that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so that's with the 3-year-old. Kari, did you have another pairing with that?
3-year. The 3-year, I kind of, with the buffalo dip, I use it in there. You can, with the other dip I have here, I think I'm going to talk about that one more with a 7-year pairing.
Okay.
Just throwing this out there, with any of our aged cheddars, they are amazing in honey. So sometimes you don't have to go to these elaborate pairings, and you know, a lot of times just having some honey at your house, if you open up a package of our cheese and pair it with some honey, it's amazing. So I think that would be a good pairing for all of them. Like, it's just, it's really yummy.
Drizzle it on top of it, or you can just dip a little cheese square into it, and then use a grinder, pepper grinder, to go on top of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's excellent.
This is our 7-year, which is right there in the middle of the age bracket for our 724 line. In this one, it has bold, tangy, and firm. So that's the 724 brand right there. And what I do with my little plate here, so I cut it into, Michael, I watched your other episodes and how you had fantastic suggestions on cutting them into little wedges. So, because a lot of times we cut them into little chunks. So I was like, oh yeah, that's phenomenal. It's like a tiny little chunk of cheese. But a terrazine crystal. So that's a question that comes up a lot. You can kind of see that little speck right there. That is a terrazine crystal. And that is very prominent in an aged cheese. And those are produced by different cultures as they age. We like to call them flavor crystals. Not the technical name, but the technical name is terrazine. We call them flavor crystals because if those crystals are present, there's typically a little bit more fruity flavors to them. And around them, there's a little, like a halo almost around them. But so if you experience a crunch in your cheese, not glass or anything crazy like that, it's a crystal that has naturally formed as that cheese is aged. And with this cheese, again, I mean, the 7-year-old cheese, it's 7-year-old cheese, cheddar cheese, and it's not falling apart. You know, you can cut it still very nicely, and it's not all over your cheese board. So, and I paired mine actually with blueberries. The tartness of the blueberry with the kind of the sharpness of the 7-year-old, they really balance each other out, and then they also both together clean your palate, so you can eat more because usually that flavor's gone. So, so that's the 7-year-old. That's the pairing that I put together with it. What do you guys got?
With our 7-year over here, I have, and this is another recipe that I used it for, is a beer dip. So I don't know if you can really see with the, kind of just looks like a little cheese dip there. It's made with the 7-year and then Guinness beer. There's also some Monterey Jack cheese in there, and cream cheese. So, and then also some cayenne pepper that gives it a little bit of a kick. So that's excellent with, I have these little pretzel bites there, or just like normal pretzels. Again, would be an excellent little dip. With, oh, that looks nice.
Thank you. So this, I have those pretzel thins. Those are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Crunch, but it's not overly filling. So, and it doesn't take over that flavor of that beer dip. And one thing I was going to say is when you are grating the sharp cheddar to put into, I call it sharp cheddar, but I'm talking about 7-year-old cheddar. Well, some people call it sharp cheddar and it's like 9 months old. I'm talking sharp cheddar 7 years old. you can really dictate the size of that shred. So, I mean, there's some phenomenal pimento cheeses out there these days that people really enjoy, the extra texture. So this Kari made is phenomenal. But you can see how creamy it gets, you know, and that's a 7-year-old cheese that typically would not break down the way that ours does. So that's something fun too. And that recipe would be, I think, towards the end too of the presentation.
So with the first cheese, it was it had more butter to it, not as much tanginess. So that's where I thought it would be really fun to be able to do something savory. So now we have all this nice tangy flavors here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go a little more sweet. So I decided to go with a nice little honey. Savannah Bee Honey is one of my favorites. 80% pollen count, just a beautiful cheese, or honey. It comes in a couple, or it comes in a wide variety. And I thought that the orange blossom would be the best for this, because I really want a little bit of sweetness. And I picked the Effie's homemade original oat biscuit with it to give it some a little sweetness. But because there's a really nice amount of tanginess, it really balances out that sweetness that you would get. So in reality, this is not like a really heavy dessert. It's actually has a nice little balance between the tanginess and the butter and the honey and the cracker. And oat is just such a great little neutral portion for it. And then I paired it up with another IPA. This is actually a double IPA. This is from a local brewery. This is Cigar City. And this is what's known as Florida Man. Cigar City names their beers from things that happen around Florida, Maduro for the cigars and High Life for the game. But Florida Man, as you guys know, we do some incredibly stupid things down here. You know, the guy who's playing golf and he throws his coat over the gator to ride the gator and the gator bites him, you know, things like that just happen around here. And it just happens every single week. We got something. So they named a beer after it, and it's a double IPA. So it's got a lot of hoppiness to it, but it works really well with the sweetness because hops are like herbs. So you get a little bit of herbiness with it.
Sure. Yeah, the flavors that you have that you picked out there are like spot on as far as how they don't overpower each other. They really blend together nicely. Yeah, and kind of what Kari said before, the honey with the cheese. So well done, Michael. You beat her to it. But no, that's perfect. That's a great way to enjoy it and incorporate other products with it. Mm-hmm.
You know, as I'm tasting it, what's so amazing with this cheese is how clean this tanginess is. You know, it's got a great acidity to it, but it's got a great balance with the butter. I don't lose the butter here. I don't lose, you know, get the tangy that is so over the top that it's distracting. And then with the honey, you know, it's that sweet sour thing that you kind of get, that sweet and tangy that works just beautiful. It's really nice. And double IPA doesn't hurt either.
Right.
Never.
Well, it is. And we take pride in being able to age cheese like this so that the 7-year-old cheese that is either in, you know, our 724 package, or if we private labeled it, that creaminess is in that cheese, because that mouthfeel is just as important as the flavor of it. So that texture is really, really important as far as when you're grating cheese or just having fun eating it with friends, you know?
You know, I've been judging since 2010, international cheese like you at Nanwich and all that. And one of the things that I noticed when I was cutting this is that, you know, when you use a cheese iron and you get the pilling from that. And so this has some beautiful pilling that, you know, that comes along the top here. That is just gorgeous.
One thing I did want to mention to consumers out there too is, when you are with our cheese, a lot of times what I do, I just cut the top off and you kind of, squeeze it out like almost like toothpaste type of thing. And you'll find sometimes it's wet on the inside and you're going, oh, why is it wet? That's whey. Cheese still will whey off, we call it. So it will still push the moisture out of the cheese as it is in the package. So if you ever open your cheese and it's kind of moist or has a little bit slippery, again, that's completely normal and part of the cheese as it ages. But yeah, it's not water, it's actually whey. That's might be around it.
This is a beautiful piece of cheese. Anybody that loves cheddar, that loves tanginess, this is just, there's nothing that compares to this. It's so creamy, it's so tangy, it's so buttery, it's got everything.
Thanks, Michael.
What do we say? Aged on purpose, graded for quality. That we don't just put it away and go, oh, it's 5 years old. That's marketed. It's going to be great. No, we do actually age our cheese on purpose with a reason to have people experience what quality aged cheese is. And it's not just a commodity. It's not a commodity cheese that just goes in and out of the markets. It's meant for either a special occasion or an awesome gathering, like putting together for that recipe, the buffalo dip. I mean, we've gone to shows and stuff, and people come back numerous times, just taking cups of that, going, is there really aged cheese in that? Like, how could that be? Like,
yeah, last year was the. Oh, sorry. Thought you were at a show. Was the first time we actually showed our cheeses made in recipes, and we had really good response from that. It was people really enjoyed it, and it definitely is something to think about using, a nice aged cheddar more than just a table cheese. A little bit goes a long way. So when you use it in recipes, you can get away with using a little bit less because that flavor is so prevalent with the aged cheddars. But they really do amazing things for recipes. The flavors they help those recipes just bring out. It's yummy.
It's yummy.
I keep saying that. It's yummy.
It's yummy.
It also has a nice, you can really, between the 3 and the 7, you can really taste the calcium lactate in here. It's got just a nice crunch to it, but it's just very subtle. The first couple bites, I didn't really pick it up because I'm so, you're getting so much of the butter, so much of the cream, all those things that are coming in that you realize how smooth it is. But after about a few more bites, you really start to notice that it does have a nice aging for the calcium lactate.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, we're proud of it. And that's the part that's neat, whether people want to just try a 3-year-old or just try a 7, or they buy the flight of them, with the 3, 7, and 11, where it's neat to be able to have all those flavors of cheddar in front of you and really see how that flavor intensifies as that cheese ages. Somebody in our group, not naming names, my dad, somebody asked him one time, what's the difference between a 5-year and a 10-year? And he's like, 5 years? Yeah. Not the answer. The difference between a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old is flavor. He is correct. There is 5 years in difference, but I think the lady kind of wanted to kick him. But it's flavor. The flavors intensify as that cheese ages. Now, it's important to know that those flavors can intensify, though, in not such a good way if you're not managing it properly. So sometimes some flavors like to go, woo! Not a good balance. That's the biggest thing, is having the balance of those flavors. But yeah, having the flight of them is a fun thing for groups to be able to really see that variety of how the cheese intensifies as it ages.
Yeah,
I've been recommending a cheese board with the same cheeses, style of cheeses, but different aging, you know, because a lot of times somebody will put on 3 or 4 different styles of cheese, and as much as it's entertaining, a lot of people want to learn a little more about it. So if you do take 3 or 4 different cheeses of the same style, 3 or 4 cheddars, 3 or 4 blues, 3 or 4 goudas, you really get to see and understand that. And you also find out what your preferences are. You know, do you really like, somebody says, I love sharp cheddars. You give them a sharp cheddar and he goes, I don't remember it was like this, you know, because their sharp is different than your sharp. So you be able to find out a little bit more. Plus, when you're doing the pairings, you find out which one works best pairing wise as well.
Oh yeah, it helps people perfect their palate too. On you know, it's the fun, like, can you taste that acid in there? You know, what is it? You know, from a grater, it's like, is it very slight, you know, definite, pronounced? You know, those are the technical terms. But when you get together with friends or family, you're kind of like, oh, I'm kind of that tang a little bit, or oh, what's that taste in the background? It kind of reminds me of coffee or something. Well, that's bitter, you know, so people can kind of start to relate what other flavors they know with what the flavors they're having in that cheese. But yeah, I mean, it's fun to have a variety of different, just like you said, the same type of cheese, but maybe even by different producers, you know. So that's kind of a neat way to go about the cheese boards too. Cool.
All right.
11-year-old is robust, intense, and crumbly. So even when we say it's crumbly, it's a different crumbly than you might be accustomed to. So one, I kind of left a chunk of it to really show you that, you know, this is our 11-year-old cheese. You know, it's not falling apart. You can cut it just beautifully. And this really is 11-year-old cheese. So people will have it sometime being like, that can't be 11-year-old. You can, and it is. So then you taste it and you'll know that it's 11-year-old cheese just because of that flavor intensity. Because I also wanted to show that, yeah, you can do small little bites of it, or that, you know, if you do want to cut it up in more of a traditional crumbly aged cheese, you know, it will do that too. But so you have options on how you want to present it, or the amount of the cheese you want to have at a time, because it does have a lot of flavor. It can be a flavor explosion. And then I put strawberries with it. I like the sweetness of a strawberry, kind of that balances against that boldness of the cheddar flavor. What do you guys got?
Well, for the 11-year, I put together this cheese board here, little charcuterie board. And what I wanted to do is, one of the things I really, really like to do with the 11-year cheddar is to put it with, and I know a lot of people are familiar with Pine River cheese spreads. I love them. This is the chunky blue one, and I love to put a little bit of that chunky blue with the blue cheese flavor on it, and then put a little bit of the aged cheddar on top of that. So this is what I typically will do this often, but I also found this blackberry balsamic sauce. So I put a little bit of that on it with it too. And I mean, the flavors are amazing in it. It's definitely makes you smile.
Yep.
So much so that I wish you all could try it.
Right, exactly.
Like now, right now.
Cool. No, our 11-year-old has that nutty flavor that is associated with cheddar, but it's a much more deeper, intense nutty. So yeah, to know it is to experience it. So hopefully you'll be able to have that opportunity to try one of our 11-year-olds at some point. That, yeah, because the flavor hits you right up front. It's creamy. It has a little acid, a little bitter, but then all of a sudden it kind of starts to slowly dissipate, which means we call it cleans up. Which then, guess what? I want to eat more. But if you want to go back and forth between the cheeses, it is nice to have a palate cleaner, or cleanser, I should say, so you really can enjoy each one, because they will have carryover. Because if you eat an 11-year-old cheese and then try to go backwards to a medium cheddar, that medium cheddar is not going to taste like much at all, because there's so much flavor still on your palate of that 11. But I did actually pair mine as well, seeing that now it's closer to cocktail hour. So a lot of times people pair aged 11 with like a red, because red has a deeper, bolder body. I personally really like this Chardonnay. It's from Artesa out in Napa Valley area, because it has an oaky Chardonnay. So it's not as sweet. It has that little bit more smoky barrel flavor to it. So I think I like to pair it with that.
So this has got, my first taste of this came up with the nuttiness that this has. And I was thinking that it has some of the nuttiness that you get in a port. As you age a port, they become a little bit more nuttier. And it's really kind of cool the way that that comes across. It's just so nice. So I'm pairing this up with the black and blue, blueberries and blackberries. And this is Bonnie's Jam. I just adore her. I think she does a great job. But when you look at this, this isn't like a jam that you would find in a grocery store. This is a real jam that needs to go with something that has some nuttiness to it and some substance. And that's where I think that this cheese does very well with that. And I wanted to pair this up with the sea salt, because I didn't really want to add any additional flavors. I just really wanted to have a little bit of crunch that would go with it. So, something, I honestly believe that it's really simple, but also this nuttiness is with the fruit is just crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It's a party in your mouth, isn't it?
It is. It's when you think about, a lot of times people say, well, I'll get grapes, or I'll get this and that. And not that they don't go with it, but they're not going to have the same impact. This cheese can do so much because it's got such rich flavors to it. And I paired this with the New Belgian. This is part of their Voodoo series, and this is their Liquid Paradise IPA. So again, I'm sticking with that because, again, I want to have that hoppiness. And this is a little more citrus hop and a little bit more piney. So with that, it kind of goes really well of bringing out more butter. So I get more butter, I get more nuttiness. But the nuttiness on this, it's so warm nut. It's almost like there's a sweet toastiness that you added to this. That's really just crazy good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we take it for granted, I think, at WAG, when we're exposed to such delicious cheese all the time, that it is, all of it's really a special cheese that you can help intensify or bring out the different flavors, in an IPA or. So Michael, that looks delicious. I really would like to try that.
I honestly can't get enough of this. I'm just gonna start carving large chunks.
One of the downfalls of being virtual, right?
Right. Nobody would judge. This is a safe group. All cheese lovers.
Yeah.
So,
I did another pairing with the 11-year on the charcuterie board here. I kind of like to call this charcuterie sushi. I don't know if you can see that as well, but what it is it's just a piece of salami with some fontina cheese in it, and then also a chunk of our 11-year in the middle too. So I got a couple pieces of those on the board, and it's good.
it's good.
It's yummy.
Well, and I'm sure that with the meat and that saltiness of that meat pairs up really nicely with that the intensity of that flavor. Yeah. Cool.
You know, those that are not big IPA fans, I have to say that when you're pairing IPAs with cheese, you're taking some of the strength of the IPA to go up against the strength of the cheese, which the cheese reduces the intensity of the IPA bitterness here. So this IPA becomes more rosemary sweet. It's more herbal than it is anything else. And so herbal with the cheese and the nuttiness and the fruit is just really magnificent. And that you need to just free your mind and say, you know, okay, I'll try something like that, because there are reasons why some things pair better, and having a beer that doesn't have the strength to it will turn into water. It'll just disappear into that. So you have to have something that brings it up. And this Liquid Paradise is fantastic.
Sounds like a perfect name for it too.
This Harmony cheese is great to pair with things, but it's so yummy just by itself also.
So our Harmony, again, is part of our Wisconsin Graders Reserve line. It's a white cheddar, smooth, buttery, and sweet. I mean, it's the cheese. I know Kari said it before too, but this cheese makes you smile. I mean, it's just so, it makes you happy. I mean, we've had people tell us before that they bought a bar of it and ate it on their way home. The whole 5 ounces. So it's a very, very approachable cheese. This is the cheese that WAG formulated that has the sweet, buttery notes of a Gouda and that fruity Parmesan flavor, but still maintaining that cheddar. Cheddar is the first and foremost cheese that's made of. So, yeah, it's delicious. I didn't pair it with anything because I just love eating it by itself. But I'll continue to drink my Chardonnay with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Harmony by itself. It's also great with the honey, as stated before. But the other pairing I did was with another of the Pine River spreads, taking a cracker. The Pine River spread I have is the Aged Asiago. So I took a little bit of that with some of the Harmony cheese on it. And then I have a little bit of this pineapple habanero tequila sauce, which gives a little bit of spice. Just a little bit of that on top of it. It's the flavors, it's another party in your mouth. It's tasty.
Well, and go ahead, Kari. Sorry. You're eating. Okay. With this cheese, I've talked about our aged products, how they slice just beautifully. The body is still very much intact. It's not really crumbling as aged cheddars that people have been used to seeing. Where this Harmony, the body does break down a little bit more than our other cheeses, but that's because of the cultures and how this cheese is made. So you will get, you know, the pieces that break off that are a little bit more crumbly. But at the same time, if you wanted to put a nice board together, you can still get a beautiful cut to kind of jazz up a cheese board. But yeah, I mean, you honestly can put it together in a little dish like this and sit down and enjoy a Friday night just with this cheese by itself.
Mhm.
Or with wine.
I first taste, I got caramel. Is that crazy?
No, butterscotch is a lot of times.
Butterscotch. Thank you. Butterscotch. Oh my God, that is just, it's incredible.
Yeah,
I love
Right.
that.
my husband, when he is part of our grading team as well, and this is kind of one of his projects that he really takes forefront on with the attributes as it's aging and what we're looking to put in our package. And yeah, butterscotch is always the terminology he associates with it.
Wow.
I
Well,
know,
so what I decided to do was go with the Virginia chutney. This is a cranberry chutney, so I wanted to bring some tanginess to the cheese. And then for the cracker, I wanted to bring, again, a little bit of sweetness. So I went with the Rustic Bakery, their rosemary and olive oil. Just really, really simple. But what I think is really fun is that has that sweetness already that will take some of the tanginess from the cranberry. And that was what I was thinking about on there, where, you know, again, I misread that as being not butterscotch, but, you know, working with that. And so we have the butterscotch, the butter, there's a little hint of tang, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to add some maltiness to the beer. And so I'm using the Oscar Blues Brewery. This is Gnite, which is an Imperial Red IPA. And you can see that how you know, dark this is. This is all malt with hops, and those hops act as a little bit of herb. So herb, sweetness. There's just so much going on here.
yeah, you get that buttery parm, or well, the parm is the fruitiness, but that buttery of the Gouda with the nutty, and then all of them together have that butterscotchy flavor that you kind of were talking. And that's where, yeah, I mean, a Chardonnay pairs up great because the same thing, it has a buttery flavor to it. I would probably put a red though with the Harmony as far as wine, unless the rosé would probably work pretty well too.
I've done thousands of pairings, and the uniqueness of the flavors of this cheese with the cranberry tartness and the chutney spices and the maltiness of the beer, that's fantastic. It's just, I didn't do it. I mean, this isn't something I thought about for days thinking how I was going to do it. I basically built that this morning when I was doing the tasting, and I thought, you know, that'd be really good. And oh my God. Oh yeah. If you can, yeah.
I'm glad we surprised you, Michael, because you are a man who knows his flavors and his cheese. So that means a lot for our WAG group, because it is one, like I said, it's a special cheese to us, because everybody at the WAG team had a part in, you know, just even coming up with the name of it, you know, the harmony of flavors because of the blend, you know, the working on the culture formulating revamp, you know, and really getting it to be, because there are more cheeses that have that fruity flavor that are in the market now and stuff, but we really think that our Harmony has still stood out quite a bit compared to some of the other fruity cheddars that are out there right now.
You know, it's always special when you can find something that it just takes it over to another level. And
Mhm.
this cheese isn't like any cheddar that I can categorize. In other words, I've been teaching 15 years, talking about cheddars and all of that, and I've never used that description in a cheddar. I mean, you think about bandage wrap where you go horseradish or you go earthy and all of that, but I've never had it come up with this. And you just solved a problem that I have. I have a cider pairing that I'm doing in 2 weeks with
Okay.
Cigar City Cider. And they sent me a cider that I was having trouble with. And I just found the key.
Yay.
Excellent.
You are welcome.
Our job here is done.
Yeah, your job, yours done. Well, good. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a very fun. When people say they don't like aged cheddar, you can be like, well, try our Harmony, and they're like, well, that's not aged. So I think that one that we're having right now is probably a 2-year, 3-year aged cheddar. So it has aged in it, and that a lot of people also don't maybe know that if you are lactose intolerant, cheddar, the lactose is almost completely gone on a sharp to aged cheddar. There's not lactose. So some of my boys' teachers had said how they're lactose intolerant when they found out that I was in the cheese world. I'm like, well, try our Harmony. Let's see what you think of that. And they're like, oh, I ate it on the way home, the whole brick. Like, perfect. So, well, good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
I did. I apologize for leaning over right now as I have 2 golden retrievers, and I moved one of the plates to a level where they could access it, and both of them just came in and scarfed up. Yes, the entire wedge of cheese.
Oh, which one? Which age?
Yes, the one just took it away, grabbed
Oh.
that wedge and ran away.
He's like, thank you very much.
I got the other one that I'm holding off, but yeah.
It's puppy approved. There you go.
It is golden retriever approved. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, excellent. Excellent. I think that's all the cheeses we have for today. But if anybody wanted to reach out to Kari, Kari at wagcheese.com.
Yep, I think all the information should be on the description of this webinar. And you can definitely reach out to me with any questions or any additional information you would like. We also have a limited number of tasting boxes that we can ship out. The tasting boxes will include a 3, 7, 11, and a Harmony. And then I believe also a smaller chunk of 14-year.
So it has a bonus cheese in it.
What's that?
It'll have a bonus cheese in it.
A bonus cheese. Yeah, so we could definitely get you set up with one of those pairings so that you could, come up with one of those boxes, so you could come up with your own pairings to watch this back and kind of see what you can come up with. I believe those are going to be $30 plus shipping. And then, once I get your information, we'll have that box out to you shortly. So definitely get in touch with me. And I will hook you up with some excellent aged cheddars.
Perfect.
It'll also be on the description of the YouTube recorded version. So we'll have it there.
So I just want, I'm trying to think of everything that we said. There's so much, right? But the main thing is kind of incorporating aged cheddars into more than just a table cheese. You can put them into recipes, use them with different sorts of pairings. There's lots of different ways you can go about it. And when you find the aged cheddar that you're happy with, it just makes it that much better.
No, it's perfect. That's perfect. And that's a big part that we were excited to be included in this event that Michael has put together. Because the virtual world right now that we're living in, it's nice to be able to connect and let people know about, one, first and foremost, about WAG, about our company, and then also about the aged cheddars that we work with and manage for our brands, but really for others, or cheese factories that we know and have identified that huge need in the whole cycle of getting quality cheese out is to have a grading partner. So, and that's where WAG really shines in the cheese industry, is validating quality cheese time and again for people to be successful. Because we've always said, you know, if we're successful, you're successful, and vice versa. Anybody we work with, we want you to thrive and to grow, because if you do, then we will have that opportunity too. And with grading, it's definitely a lot harder than people think it might be. So yeah, to reach out to our group to find out any questions maybe that you have about different cheeses. Yes, we talk a tremendous about cheddar, but we, as cheese graders, are very versed in different cheeses, mild, Colbys, Swisses, Parms, Asiagos, Blues, all that kind of stuff. So we're a huge resource for people as well as our programs. But yeah, if people have problems or issues with their grading, or just what's going on with my cheese, you know, can you guys help me? Absolutely. So it's nice to be able to hopefully let people know a little bit more about us, about Kari and I, about our company, and the importance of grading your cheese as it ages.
It's such a pleasure to be able to see you guys. You know, I mean, we run into each other in the shows, and it's a quick hug and hi, and we run off and do things. So I'm glad that you were able to take some time, and I was able to, you know, sit down and really learn more about each of these aged cheeses, which is magnificent. So thank you both very much for it. I do want to say to Kari, I do adore your cheese board there. I think that is a magnificent display there, and I didn't want to go without saying something about how nice that is.
Oh, well, thank you, Michael. I enjoy doing it, and I wanted to also say thank you to you for allowing us this opportunity to share our cheeses and everything we do, and it was a great opportunity, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Yep.
Well, I do too. So again, I'm sure there'll be more times that we'll get back together. You know, if we're still virtual around the holidays, well, we got to do some fun stuff together. So we'll come up with some recipes, and we'll come and start entertaining people. Just show them how to do stuff with cheese. So got some fun stuff coming up.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Life is great. Just eat more cheese.
All right. All right. Well, take care. Thank you very much. And, you know, stay out of trouble, and the best that you can.
You too. Thanks. Thank you, Michael. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye. This was sponsored by the great folks at the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin, who do a great job of being able to get more information out and also promoting a lot of the cheeses that you see here today. So tomorrow, we have Cowgirl coming in. So we're going to really have an interesting talk with them about all the different things that we're going to do. And I greatly appreciate you guys sticking with us. I know these run a little longer than the usual, but there's a lot of information that you can bring from this, and hopefully you'll continue to enjoy that. So be safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. We'll see you soon. Thank you.